All right, ladies and gentlemen, what is good? What is good? What is good? Of course, you know who I be, the good doc, Dr. Mike TV, back again, once again, with probably one of the live streams and guests I've been waiting to catch on my channel for quite a long time. All right, this is one that's near and dear to the heart. So I've been waiting for this one to come through for a minute, and I'm glad that it did. But if you guys are just chiming in right now, whether you're catching this on the playback or whether you join us live, the only thing that I ask is you guys drop a like on this video and make sure you share with somebody because I'm pretty sure the content here might be of some genuine use. All right, so I came across this brother, matter of fact, for the first time through a mutual acquaintance by a brother named O'Shea Duke Jackson. First time that I've ever heard of my brother Antoine Wade right here. And the content that this man produces on his channel is bar none some of the best. Granted, it ain't messy. It's not, politically correct or any other shit where you draw a large crowd for, talking a bunch of ish. The content there is invaluable, in my personal opinion. So, without further ado, my brother, founder of Black Heights, my brother Antoine Wade, introduce yourself to the crowd, man. Tell everybody what you do, man.
Man, thank you so much for having me on, Dr. Mike. Man, I am Antoine Wade, founder and CEO of Black Heights, where we train, coach, and provide exposure to basically all the things that you need in life to be successful. And I take this from the blueprint of myself, right? So right now on the channel, we're talking about things like education, but we also have topics about soft skills, relationships, and, finance and real estate and all that other stuff. But, I felt like I wanted to create a company that was responsible for giving back to the community and also just providing a blueprint to what you need in life to be successful. And that's all I'm trying to do on Black Heights. And yeah, man, that's what we're doing, man. That is what we're doing, Dr. Mike.
Yeah, man. And like I said, I catch community posts every now and again, people showing their receipts, people showing their worth and everything like that. And, putting, proof in the pudding and
Yeah,
everything that they've learned. And I think that that is bar none some of the absolute best things that could be beneficial to anybody inside and outside of the community. All
that's
right.
right.
So I understand that a lot of your business requires you to travel. So as a matter of fact, I know aside from being founder of Black Heights, are you into any other type of work right now, or you specifically focus on everything that does with your website and your business?
No, I am. So Black Heights is a company that I started in 2018. But prior to Black Heights starting, and still to this day, I've been in
Mm,
the supply chain technology industry. So software, think about that. So I have a undergrad in management information systems, which is what I talk about on my channel quite often right now, since a lot of
for
people
sure.
are choosing to are trying to determine what major that they want to major in when they're going to college, right? This is that time of the year where people are starting to make some college decisions. So I'm a management
Hmm.
information systems major, a computer science minor. I have an MBA from the Georgia Tech, and I started my
Okay.
work career in the supply chain technology space and started off as a software engineer, worked my way all the way up to a junior executive running the customer success, customer support organization all the way over there in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I've done a lot of travel in my professional line of work. And to this day, I am a area sales director for a supply chain company doing sales, selling into some of the largest brands in the United States and globally. And
Hmm.
yeah, and that gave me the opportunity. My success in my role in my professional life gave me the opportunity to want to create Black Heights. So yeah, that's what I do right now to this day, Dr. Mike.
For sure, for sure. All right. So your work landed you in Kuala Lumpur,
That's right.
Malaysia.
That's right.
For sure, man. All right. So how long did you stay in country? Was it something where you were by yourself, or did the family come with you? Like, how did that work out for yourself, working specifically over
Yeah, so in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia,
there?
I was there for 3 years, Dr. Mike. So for 3 full years, and this was not just like back and forth trip. I was actually living there. So
All
whenever you
right.
get an international assignment in the corporate world, it's called a secondment, right? And basically
Okay.
what it is a contract for you to work in another country for a period of 2 years, which is traditional, or either 3 years. I had 2 years initially and got it extended to another year. But
Okay.
my entire family left the United States with me. I'm married, of course. I'm married to a beautiful wife, Teresa, and I have two kids, but one of my kids was born at that point in time. Her name was Ari. She was 2 years old. And we packed up our bags and took the opportunity to run a country. And that was probably one of the best experiences I've had in my professional life. And to this day, I still talk about it, and because it's been amazing in all aspects of not just my professional career, but also showing my wife and my family that the world is different. The world's beautiful. There's parts of every country, every city that has beauty in it. And I've gotten an opportunity to explore that throughout Kuala Lumpur, throughout all of Southeast Asia, throughout Latin America, throughout just about the majority of the world, man. I've been quite a bit of places. I think I've been to a total of like 61 different countries, I believe, right now. And I don't plan on stopping. So yeah.
For sure, for sure. Okay, and that leads me into my first question. Out of all of those 61 countries that you've actually visited, is there any one specific place that stands out to you the most? Like maybe down the line, should you consider doing retirement, maybe after the kids are finished with college and it's just you and the wife? Would you consider settling in a place abroad? Is there any one particular place that you would consider settling after it's all said
Yes.
and done?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. But I would say this right before I name
Mhm.
that country or countries. I would say
Countries,
this
all right.
is life is interesting, man, because as soon as you go
Mhm.
someplace, there's always another place that you haven't gone. And I'm always
For
that
sure.
person that wants to go to a new place, right? But
Okay, for sure.
overall, a place that I would love to settle down that has my heart right now because I haven't had an opportunity to live there, but I visited multiple times. I would say Vietnam. I would certainly say
Okay.
Vietnam, and I would say Ho Chi Minh City would probably be the number one city. Saigon,
Hmm.
obviously, and then
For sure.
I would also say Kuala Lumpur again. I would do that again. I would do Singapore. I would do any of those countries in Southeast Asia. I
Hmm.
would do the Philippines, right?
All
I
right.
didn't get an opportunity to explore a lot in the Philippines, but I have been to Boracay. And that was right before they shut down with all the issues that they had over there. But it was
Hmm.
it's so many different places, man. But right now, my number one and my wife's number one at this point in time, because she hasn't experienced it, is Vietnam, man.
Oh man. And you know what? See, there's a lot of people in this particular sector that kind of use Vietnam in reference to like a visa run. So in the Philippines, 3 years maximum in country before you're required to leave and then
Yeah.
come back and start all over for your new three. And they kind of use visa runs in like Vietnam and Thailand and places like that. So what in particular about Vietnam kind of made you say, you know what, this is something worth exploring just a little bit more? Was it the people, something about the culture? Maybe you had a chance to try some food that says, you know what, something about this entire ambiance is something that I feel like I could create a nice little, little place for myself for happiness. What
Yeah.
was it when you first went there?
Yeah, I would say it was the developing infrastructure that they had in the people, man. I'm a people person. I love people and I love good people. And when the first time I got a chance to go to Ho Chi Minh City, it was on a personal trip. It wasn't on a work trip. This was a personal trip for me wanting to visit the Vietnam memorial there and the museum
Okay.
that they actually have there because my
Right,
uncle,
right.
obviously fought in Vietnam. And one of the things that he
Uh,
was always challenged by was his experience there. And he never ever talked about it. So I was like, let me go over there and just experience this whole thing. And
mhm.
I just fell in love with, hearing about the war stories and how this place was absolutely devastated. And then seeing what it looks like today. Thriving
They,
economy, continuing to grow, seeing
mhm.
the culture, the food. It is somewhat Western. I love that aspect of it, but also it still has that Southeast Asia vibe to it. You know that it's a
Right.
rising city that's going to be. I mean, like it's going to be a Hong Kong pretty soon, right? It is a
I've heard.
fantastic country, a
Yeah.
fantastic city, and not only just Vietnam, but you have Hanoi, you have Nha Trang, where the beaches and stuff are. It's a gorgeous country, and I think a lot of it just has that French influence, and knowing that we caused a lot of destruction in that country, and being able to see the people bounce back and be so resilient is what really stood out to
Mhm.
me.
Right. And like I said, from what you talked about before, because some of my family members are Vietnam vets as well. And
Yeah.
what you're saying is it's like night and day. You know what I'm
Night
saying?
and
From
day,
where it
man.
used to
Yes.
come from to where it is now. Like I
Yep.
said, I've heard beautiful things and I heard the pricing is super affordable. I
It is.
mean, people were talking about renting out Airbnbs for like, like $500-600 and good for the month. And, even my father. I mean, because one of the main things that you think about with traveling is how you're going to put together a budget for yourself. More
Right.
specifically, yourself, you got a family, so it's going to be a little bit larger than somebody who was single without, a family. But, you think about, okay, how I'm going to budget for this, how I'm going to budget for that. Vietnam has kind of made it easy from like everything that I'm hearing that, like I said, infrastructure, hands down. There was this beautiful view that I saw, and I was just watching a YouTube video. I was like, there's just no way that's Vietnam. You have that thought in your head, like there's just no way that right there is in
Yep.
Vietnam, especially when it looks like it's straight out of like a movie or something like that.
Right.
So, developing infrastructure, I think, is extremely important. In
Yep.
the fact that we can live a good Western, not necessarily a Westernized lifestyle, but we can live in a place that kind of resembles to an extent,
It
with
it
the
does.
exception of the people, like with the
Right.
exception of the people, of course. A place that kind of resembles something we're used to in the United States. I mean, it's uncanny, and for a great price, it's definitely something worth looking further into. But like I said, everything can't always be peaches and cream. And I mean, I'm not trying to down anybody in the moment, but out of all of the 61 places you've been to, is there anyone where you're like, well, maybe it could have went a little bit better than it did? Maybe just an experience that you went through that you would kind of say, what, this one would probably be at the bottom of the list. Like not this is like a last resort place where you really didn't have that experience like you hoped that you would. Is there any
You,
place that
you,
didn't really?
you know, there isn't a place, Dr. Mike, that I won't go back to. Now, I would say
Mhm.
this, right? So my father lives in Germany, and I visited my father, multiple times. And,
Okay.
that's just not a Germany, although it has this beauty to it. He's right outside of Frankfurt. I didn't find a liking to Germany as I've liked other places, and it could be the
Mhm.
fact that my relationship with my father or things like that. But a beautiful country, and again, there is not a
Mhm.
place that I would never ever go back. And that's the thing. I've only been to like two cities within obviously Germany, so I can't really say much that's negative about it because it's a gorgeous country. What I saw was absolutely fantastic. So it's just, I don't think there's any place that I would say that I would never go back to. I just
Mhm.
think, if there was a place that you say, Antoine, cross off to your list because you didn't have the experience that you typically have, I
Mhm.
would probably say Germany.
Germany. And like I said, I mean, there are a lot of brothers who swear by Germany, and again, like
Yeah,
you said, it's personal. I mean, it's just not necessarily a personal thing, but like I said, you take a liking to certain places, and some
right.
place you absolutely do not. And like I said, I got an uncle in Germany. I've never had a chance to visit, but again, it's just an experience. Something to put on a bucket list. If you ever really want to. So,
Yeah, and
if
that's the thing, and that's the thing too, Doctor Mike. Sorry, let me jump in.
you
It's
good, go
not
ahead,
that I
go
don't
for it.
like it. It's not that I don't
Hmm.
like Germany. It's the fact that of my experience and the father and all this other stuff. But gorgeous country, beautiful people. I like beer, so of course it is. It's good. You have different climates. I like wine. Germany is a beautiful place. You have the Autobahn. All that stuff is just fascinating for me. It's just I think for me
Hmm.
personally, it's more of a relationship thing that I have with my father, and I've gone there multiple times. And when I've gone there, it's like, you spend time with your father. So you don't get a chance to experience everything else that you would have experienced if you were kind of there by yourself or with your own family, right? So that's
Right.
just it. But man, there isn't a place, so Dr. Mike, and I make that very clear that I won't ever go back to, man. There's not a place. And the only reason I selected Germany was because you kind of forced me into it.
I mean, I know I painted you into a corner. You kind of had to say, well, okay, if I gotta choose
If
one,
I got to choose one.
since you making me. All right. So with that being said, you've been to Vietnam. Okay, so let's talk about places that you haven't yet visited. What would be at the top of your list of a place where front of your mind right now that you haven't had a chance to experience yet?
Man, I would say this, man, like Manila. The
Okay.
major cities in the Philippines. I have not had an opportunity to spend a lot of times in the Philippines at all. And guess what? The reason why I want to go is because of your channel, of course, and the amount of work that you put in on your channel to educate us on the beautiful country of the Philippines. But not only that, when I
Appreciate
was
that.
in Kuala Lumpur, our nanny, who we fell in
Mm-hmm.
love with, and obviously fell in love with our kids,
Mm-hmm.
was from the Philippines, and just beautiful
Perfect.
people. Not only that, our house help was also from Vietnam as well. So,
Mm.
knowing that these two women have had an impact on my kids' life, my wife's life, and my life, I just want to explore more about the Philippines, man. But there's other countries I want to go to. I want to hit Africa. I want to hit the continent. I haven't had much time
Always.
to hit the continent at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, there's tons of other places, but right now, front of mind would be the Philippines, man.
Right. And and you bring up a great question, and you bring up a great point. A lot of Filipino citizens and stuff, they work as overseas Filipino workers, so they're
That's right.
in everywhere. Right. You'll find them in Kuala Lumpur, you'll find them in the Middle East, everywhere. And to be honest with you, they're some of the most accommodating people that you
Lovely.
could meet in other countries as well. Of course, even when you're in the country, they're very embracive.
Hmm.
They're happy for the most part. They're pretty much happy for anybody who is happy to immerse themselves in Philippine culture. Like if you're about their people or you're about that life of just getting to know everything that's going on, you're gonna find somebody that's gonna show you everything that you need to know. Sometimes a little bit more than you were looking for. They'll always they're very, very accommodating people for any like first timers to the country. Of course, gotta watch your back a little bit because every smiling face ain't in it for the right reasons. But I mean that comes with any territory that you go into. So
That's right.
I mean, in reference to pricing in Kuala Lumpur,
Mm.
comparisons to, I don't want to compare it to the United States. I don't think that's fair, but would you say on average it was a pretty expensive place based off of, where you were living in that moment and what type of budget you have for yourself on a monthly basis?
Yeah, so the thing about these Southeast Asia countries, and I'll specifically talk about Kuala Lumpur because that's where I lived, right? Is that you have
Right.
options, right? I mean, you can live as inexpensive as you want, but
Hmm.
when you're bringing a family to a country for the first time, you want to make sure that your wife first, is very comfortable, right? Because you're going to
Yeah.
be, I was spending 16, 17 hours in the office, or even longer
Mhm.
sometimes, right? So you want to make sure that there is a bit of comfortability. And what I would say with that, when you're buying comfort in some places like Southeast Asia, it could be a little bit more expensive sometimes, and then in some
Yeah.
places in the United States, right? So it all depends. It's
Hmm.
all relative, right? When the place that we lived in was about 4,800 a month USD, right? So it's a good size, but the place was 5,400 square foot, right? And it had like a wet kitchen, and it had its own like nanny corners and all this other stuff, right? So it
The
really
full
depends,
work.
but
Yeah.
but at the same time, I had other expats that I've known and are over there, and their budget is a lot smaller. They could be paying no more than freaking $800 a month for an apartment, living in
Wow.
with the locals, right? So it really depends on where you are in your life, what you can afford, what the company is going to take care of for you, and
Okay.
that'll determine really your experiences while you're over there.
That is true. And you bring up a great point because even in places like more specifically Manila, the capital city, you got places like Bonifacio Global City. If you're not familiar with it,
I
you'll
heard it.
become rather right. You'll become very familiar with it as well. And what you were describing and it is exactly what you could probably expect in a place like that.
Yeah,
Because I mean, you're talking about top of the line Western amenities, condos, built with, this is where things differ because you'll probably pay that price, but maybe the square meterage may not be the same, right? So
exactly.
you're going to
Yep.
have some very compact places and, you're going to have some very lofty places. Again, that's going to determine your price, but, you know, it does depend on what you are looking for in your travel. If
That's
you're
right.
looking to immerse yourself in anything and everything's Western, you're going to find those locations. Like you said, it's going to cost you a little bit more, but those locations do exist. Or
Exactly.
you could be on the back end, immerse yourself with the local community, find you a nice little spot, on the outskirts of something that may be just a little bit cheaper, so you're not too far from the city, and you
Yeah,
could probably have a valued experience that way as well. And it does
absolutely.
depend on you as the individual,
That's
and
right.
and I think that's really an important concept with travel. Period.
Hmm. Hmm.
And you mentioned earlier about not, I told you where would you settle that, but of course I would more so consider that like a home base because of course, like you said, you're still going to continue to travel, even though you are probably settled in one particular place abroad. So, um, how many more years do you think it will take for you to actually hang it all up, man, and actually make the trip, or it's not on the books right now, I should
And
say.
when you say hang it up, meaning that
I'm good. You good with the business, everything. Well, I mean, of course, Black Heights will always be a
Yep.
business because you'll never drop that. But I'm saying though, as far as finishing your day-to-day work with, your particular software company or
45.
software company.
My goal,
45.
right now is 45. I have my plan already. That plan is,
My man, see,
I'm doing a lot of things right now. It
right?
could be
Real estate.
sooner.
Not gonna
It
fuck
could
about
be
that.
sooner, Dr. Mike. It could be sooner, right? If I,
Mm-mm-mm.
the thing is too, most recently I've asked for another international assignment. And this could
Mm-hmm.
be in India if I get it, right? Right now, our brothers and
Mm.
sisters in India right now are hurting with the COVID, situation that's going on over there. And if I
Mm-hmm.
am able to get that situation and able to do that secondment for 2 or 3 years, I'll come back and I'll be in a position where I can really hang it up, right? So that's what I'm looking for.
Man.
That's the fastest way, and that could be wrong. While
Um,
and I'm put like this. That's
yeah.
I'm 37, right? So I
All
have
right.
a good solid 8 years before I hang it
Solid,
all
solid.
up, right? Or it could be
Right.
sooner if something
Mm-hmm.
something really cool happens. So we'll see what happens, man.
Man, that's crazy. And what's interesting? You're saying 45. You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine if we were talking age 45 of retirement back then? People look at us like we're crazy because
Right.
everybody's expecting 60, 65, man. You hang it up, Social Security, do all that, get your pension and all of that stuff. But see, the thing is, I'm aware of what you do outside of, your job. But I saw a little real estate situation you had on your community tab. So
Yep.
I understand that you're into other things. And that right there is what's going to really propel us to retirement a whole lot sooner and where,
Right.
we can actually live that dream that we want to. So I pray that India gig pans out for you because I think that could change a lot of people's lives. Because like you said, man, I'm aware of the situation over there, and I know that it's a little rough for them. And in the industry that you service, considering that's a very high impact industry in that
Very much.
particular area. Like that's
Yes.
pretty much what if you're not a doctor, you're pretty much in the IT software computer field, period. And if they were hurting for certain in that industry, that kind of wipes out a lot of jobs and occupations. So like I said, I do pray that that one works out for you. Be another thing to put on your belt, and also another thing to talk about. These are all stories that definitely gonna be worth sharing in some years to come. And like I said, it's
Absolutely.
blessed you got a channel to really um put that out there. But yeah, man, like I said, I appreciate your time over here, man. It's definitely enlightening. It's refreshing, my dude. And like I said, for you guys who don't know, I've been trying to get brother Antoine on with me since November. I fell off on the email aspect a while ago because shit just got crazy. But when I reached out to him probably less than a week ago, probably a few days ago, I would
It was,
say,
yeah.
and I said,
That's
"Yo,
right.
man, right?" I said, "Yo, man, you game for this interview?" He's like, "Yeah, man." I said, "Oh, fuck yeah, man. This is gonna be the one. This was gonna be the one." So, like I said, man, I'm glad that you were able to create some time for the channel. Like I said, 13 of you guys here, man. I appreciate you guys watching. You can give it a thumbs up. I
What
don't know
other
if you have
questions
any.
anybody in the chat has, or you have, Dr. Mike? I'm
Right,
like, we can talk
I'm
about travel nonstop, man. There's so
yeah,
many
traveling.
places, so many stories, man. I can tell it from any aspect that you want to hear. You want to hear it from,
Yo, man.
you know,
Okay. Well, I would see. I'm very into stories, man. I have my own, but okay, craziest experience abroad, hands down. What
craziest,
would you say? Craziest
craziest
experience abroad?
experience abroad. Wow, that's a
Choose the country, the situation, set it up, sell the story.
man. I think it was. I would say it's Mexico City.
Mm-hmm.
So I love Mexico City, fantastic city. But one of the nights I went out with one of my coworkers and we're driving through the city and we just got back outside of La Condesa, which is a nice little area. And obviously we're at a stop sign and two guys come up to the car and starts asking for money. Right. So literally we are in a situation where we're getting jacked right at this point in time. So of course we obliged. We gave them everything that we had, which was very little for me because I didn't have a lot of cash at all. The good thing is they didn't ask for any cards or anything like that, or even ask for us to go to an ATM. And my coworker who was with me at the point in time, he had some pesos on him, so he had to give it up. But that was probably one of the craziest things that happened to me, man, in getting jacked in Mexico City. But other than that, there hasn't been anything else that I would say has been a terrible traveling experience. Of course, you have missed flights, you have situations where, people may not be as helpful, right? Things like that. But I haven't had any terrible experiences like that because, I think I find myself in good situations because I'm not out there chasing women, Dr. Mike, because I'm a married man, right? But I can certainly see people, and I've heard other stories from others, man, that you find yourself in a lot of trouble when you're out there trying to go and chase these women. Let me go say it like that.
Man, I'll put it to you like this, bro. This is a story. Bro, you gonna find yourself in trouble chasing women. Period. I tell this man, I do not want to share this story out loud. I do not want to share. I'm fuck it. Look, this is a limited crowd, so screw it, guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask while I share this story. So, I almost got arrested in the Philippines. I must have been in my early 20s. I might have just hit 20. Might have just hit 20. And I was doing the dumbest shit, man. When you're young, man, you do stupid stuff. All right. So let me tell you how this went down. So I was talking to this young lady. She mad cool people. And I didn't want to get a hotel room, right? So I was being cheap. So imagine it's about 11 o'clock in the evening, right? So I'm like, yo, let's just go to this park. Okay, so I had a van, right? So everything used to lay down, like the back sheet used to be like a bed setup, right? Yep. So imagine you trying to do what you do, right? Just being young and crazy and dumb, and you see these lights pull up to the car, dead of night, bro. 12 o'clock. It was probably about 12 o'clock. Lights pull up, and they didn't have no sirens on. But I'm saying, shit, if we sit still, right? They not gonna come to the car. They're just gonna think the car's abandoned. If these motherfuckers didn't get out the car, start shining the light into the car to see what was in there. So basically, they pull you out the car. First, they were like, first they thought the girl wasn't 18, so the girl had to pull out her card and stuff. Because again, I was like 20, 21, so we were still pretty young. But they were like, yo, you could go to jail for this because they call it, I guess, there's public indecency. It's like 12 o'clock at night. I mean, how you figure anybody around, right? So I had to pay them to get them to go away. Basically, I had to come out of pocket. Everything that I had in my pocket, they took. They said, okay, you want to go? Do you want to, like one man did sales, said in trade today. What did he say? Do you want to go to jail? Do you want to go home? I said, I want to go home, man. Just take this, man. So maybe that would probably, man. And I don't know if you've ever seen Philippine jails. That shit's crazy, man. But
I wouldn't want to be in any jail, Dr. Mike, in Southeast Asia. I mean, I would say this, right? So living abroad like that, there's corruption and there's bribery, there's all that stuff. But if you got the money, you can get out of it, man. You can get out of it. And that's something that I do respect about that as well, too, right? Because, you find yourself in a bad. Exactly. Exactly.
I'm telling you, if you want to know the truth, man, it's crazy to believe that the majority of the time that men get in trouble is over women.
Absolutely.
In most foreign countries, about 90 to 99% of the time. I would give 1% to just some random act of maybe somebody running up to you, robbing you, maybe 2%, you just get accosted or jacked or whatnot. Most of the time it's dealing with women to set you up or messing with somebody's wife, whatever it may be, you're just always in that position. But a quick question fielded from the chat real quick. It says, what is your outlook in on the cybersecurity field? Would going for a bachelor's in cybersecurity be worth it? I'm a self-taught Salesforce developer with a degree in engineering. So his question is based on the cybersecurity field,
Man,
and if a bachelor's degree in
man.
cybersecurity is worth it.
Yeah, so a degree, any degree, whether it's a bachelor's or a master's of science in cybersecurity is certainly worth it. You think about it today, right? And like companies, all companies that exist, are doing their best to prevent data to be attacked. I mean, obviously, data is the key and the most critical resource that we actually have and companies have to really gain leverage over others, right? And they have to do their best to protect it. You think about things that most recently happened at like SolarWinds, right? Knocked Microsoft out for a couple of days on certain applications, right? And this was what they potentially said came from Russia. But defending off cyber crimes, defending off national security issues around people being able to steal information is the future. So yes, absolutely. You should definitely go into cybersecurity. It's going to be something that continues to be a growing industry, and you're going to be able to make a lot of money, man.
Okay.
It's a big field.
It is. All right. Top of your head. Top 5 degrees you think would be most beneficial to helping you find jobs abroad. Okay, so let's say basically
Ooh.
you're going to be working abroad. So top 5 jobs. Oh, well, should I say jobs or degrees? I'll let you choose. Top 5 degrees you think will be beneficial to finding work and living abroad, or top 5 jobs you think will be the most beneficial to working abroad, like where you can establish yourself, be comfortable. This is where you're going to live while you're performing this particular job, or the jobs that
Man.
are helping you get abroad. You can give me
Yeah,
2 or 3.
I would say this, man. I'm a list of top 5, right? I would always say this. The U.S. is ahead of a lot of countries, but there's a lot of countries that's ahead of the U.S., right? So a lot of trends, especially in evolving and innovative technology, actually start other places and then come to the U.S. after, or it's vice versa. It's one or the other, right? So when I think about like top 5 jobs, or I'm not even going to say top 5 jobs, I'm going to say top 5 majors, because I like the majors perspective, and I want to give the people who are looking to engage in extra education or going to college coming up and things like that, something that they can look out for. I would say you want to start off with business or STEM. And I'm going to say my number 1 would be the management information systems major, because I know it from hands down experience and have lived that life. Right. And it has helped me to be able to live that life. I would also say engineering. If you want to talk about what kind specifically engineering, I would say electrical engineering, mechanical engineering. And I would also say petroleum engineering, because a lot of countries actually need petroleum engineers, especially in places like Kuala Lumpur and places in the Middle East and things like that. I would also say, anything if you are looking such as like being a pilot or something like that, you'll get a lot of opportunities to visit internationally and can work internationally as well too, because that skill set can be used across the board. Outside of that, I would say the business world, guys, the business world for sure. We've actually sent a lot of people, to do secondments at the company that I work for, to Malaysia, and also to India as well, who have a background in finance and accounting as well too, because we have shared services over there. If you have a large department over in the another part of the world where they're actually doing a lot of the work, and you have a specific company in mind, check and see exactly who they are sending over there and what departments they're sending over there. And that'll give you an idea of what you can major in to actually go over there. So I would say finance and accounting is another one that I would have in my top 5 as well to do international assignments. A good friend of mine who's been on the channel in Black Heights, her name is Essence. She's an accounting major. She graduated from Howard and she got her master's or MBA from University of Texas. We sent her over there and she's still over there. I think this is her 4th year now. They keep extending it. Of course, COVID just happened and she found the love of her life over there as well too. So Fantastic majors right there. I'll start off with MIS, the
Okay.
engineerings, and then I would say
Okay.
finance and accounting, man.
All right. And that's interesting because the first thing that comes to mind when I think about international business or businesses that have, especially in Southeast Asia, I'll stick there because I know the area a little bit better. The first thing I think about is BPOs,
Hmm.
business process outsources, right? I mean,
Absolutely. The
those
Accentures,
particular,
all of them. Yeah.
yeah, man. And those jobs do well, but
Hmm.
you have got to be into that particular career field. And again, with that one, it could follow a business, degree holder. I mean, it could follow multiple routes. It could be,
Absolutely.
like I said, something that you could be involved with the computer setup and the landscape of the software and everything in the country. So again, MIS could take you there as well. So business process outsourcing. And I don't know about you, man, but I get my feelings a little bit when I call AT&T and you gotta get something done. Somebody from I don't know, man. Sometimes I feel like, man, I wish I could speak to somebody local just this one time. But I understand, man. Look, hands down, business is business, and
Business,
from
business.
a business perspective, I understand what BPOs do.
Yeah.
Now you can sit there and be in your feelings about it, taking jobs out of the United States, but then I think about it, man. Out of the jobs that most of the jobs that they take out of the United States are usually jobs that people normally don't quite care to do, anyways. I mean,
Exactly.
you can sit there and answer a phone if you want to, but in reference to that, like with BPOs and stuff, they just outsource that information and they're able to get a write off. But I still look at it more so as creating opportunities for people abroad. You know what I'm saying? I
Absolutely.
still look at
Absolutely.
it from that perspective as well. I mean, hopefully if you find your way in a business or a job field that puts you in a position where you can, find yourself abroad and manage a team or whatever it may be, that's awesome. But like I said, I like BPOs and I do respect what they do. Granted, you got people who are in country who still want to get in their feelings about moving jobs abroad, but it is what it is.
It's one of those things where yeah, it's if you know that there's a labor force that is cheaper, that's typically where the jobs are going to go, and you're going to start to see that
Mm-hmm.
start to shift after this whole COVID thing kind of goes away, right? Right now, I think
Mm-hmm.
people are looking at the continue to keep that stuff in house as far as the
Oh
United
yeah.
States, but
All right.
I think the next wave may be right now. It's kind of the wave has been India. Then I think it's moving to Southeast Asia.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see a lot of it starting to move to Africa, which is going to be fascinating because then we'll be taking more trips to Africa and stuff like that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it typically is in the countries where you have a low education level and a high birth rate, right? And those are countries that are
Okay.
in Africa at this point in time, right? And that's
Uh,
was China. That was China at one point in time too, right? So it
mm,
left China, went to India. India has billions of people. Next, you have to go to other
right.
places that have billions of people, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's where the trends typically go. We'll see if COVID has shifted that or not.
Yeah.
But I like BPOs. BPOs are important. It's good for business. Of course, you want the main jobs to be in house, right? Because you don't want to
For
have a
sure.
brain drain and stuff like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
what I would say is this, Dr. Mike, the skills
Yep.
that you need in order for you to live abroad or work abroad, you're going to need some really good soft skills. You're going to have to, be able to learn how to adapt to different cultures and
For
learn how
sure.
to speak to different people and
Mm-hmm.
learn how to, want to and how to engage with other people and actually listen, right? Those are all the skills that you're going to need: problem solving, critical thinking skills, all those soft skills you're going to really need when you do make a trip abroad or when you are going to get an assignment to work abroad.
Mm. And yeah, that probably was China before they limited one child per family, huh?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that was the reason why they made that particular decision. Maybe not. But with the trend, I think about the way COVID has really changed the way we do business, period. And there was a person in my chat, I think it was my brother, my boy Jay here in the chat. He mentioned that a lot of middle management positions are now being wiped out because, in a sense, depending on what their job is in the business, when top management can email directly to the rank and file of the people who are doing the job, it kind of somewhat eliminates the need for certain middle management positions. So, with that being said, what types of jobs, and this is crazy, I know, maybe, or degree, no, we can say degrees or jobs, however, would you say are like COVID proof to an extent, to where regardless of what's happening, if things that you've probably seen in your own particular career field and things like that, what types of jobs would you say are somewhat COVID proof? Like it's always going to be in demand or always going to be needed, regardless of whatever it is that is happening, in the country or the world right now.
Yeah, well,
Looking at it,
I would say this. I would say I'm going to start at industries. I'm going to start at industries first. Healthcare, right?
industry
Obviously,
first.
we
Okay.
saw that we need people in the healthcare field, so nursing, doctors, and any person that's in the information technology area of the healthcare space. And that's a major area that continues to need help and is going to continue to need help. But I would also
Mm-hmm.
say outside of the healthcare is a technology. Right now, you start to see the manufacturing and semiconductors and all that other stuff, and the shortage that's happening because of manufacturing leaving China and things like that. Right, and the shortage of chips and supply chain and stuff like that. So those are the industries that I would say are very important, and we've seen have been COVID proof. The technology industry. I mean, obviously, those industries have almost tripled. Right, from a COVID perspective, I think about when customers like or companies like Lenovo and HP's guys, since everybody was home, they had to sell laptops, right, printers and all this other stuff, and they did magnificent numbers and are still killing the
Stocks
game,
to the
right? I'm
moon.
like, so it's huge,
Stocks
right?
to the
So
moon.
so so
Yeah.
so thinking about the industries, it's important, and you can see it in the stock market today. Now, let me talk about positions. Just be valuable. That's the most important thing. You just need to be valuable to your company. If you aren't valuable, you don't have an ability to learn and reskill, then you're
Mm-hmm.
shooting yourself in the foot. Because typically what companies do when they have to make big time decisions on people that they need to get rid of is they don't get rid of entire departments. A lot of times they get rid of certain groups that aren't the highest performing, and typically what they end up doing is get rid of the people that aren't performing very well or are
Mm-hmm.
mediocre, right, or don't haven't shown the ability to be able to do something else. So, you mentioned it being middle management. It could be middle management at certain companies, but I don't see that a lot at all. What I see it ends up
Okay.
being is um, people who aren't performing well on the company spectrum. And every single year, most companies do an evaluation of what their talent looks like, because talent is so easier to get now. Now that
Yep.
everything is online, you can get somebody from any other country. So you show that you're valuable. And what I would also say is this, Dr. Mike, is the fields and the professions that are going to
Oh,
continue to be needed
I think what.
are things like, can you hear me?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, I lost you for a second. Go ahead. You're good. You're good.
Yeah. So the fields that we're going to continue to need are things like sales, because that's never ever going to go away. No matter what,
Okay.
you're going to need to be able to have people to make transactions happen in order for you to make business continue to grow. You're going to need engineering. You're going to need finance. You're going to need accounting. So those are the areas that you're really going to consistently need over time. And I think those are going to be recession proof, COVID proof, all that proof.
Mm-hmm. For sure. All right. I appreciate that one. I want to take a moment, guys. I see 21 in the building, guys. I appreciate you guys locking in. Make sure you get the likes up on this video. For those that are late to the channel, perfectly fine. No problem. The guest that I have on with me now is none other than my brother Antoine Wade. He is the founder of Black Heights Media, blackheights.com, however you slice it. Got his own YouTube channel. If you check the description and the link, if you check the description area below, the link to his actual channel is listed there, where he talks about career fields and degrees that are going to be beneficial towards the future, and a lot of other great content on that channel. So I want to make sure you guys are linked in. You'll be able to find it below. He talked about his past living in Kuala Lumpur. He talked about his job career earlier on in the chat. We kind of got that one out earlier in the day. So right now we're just focusing on fielding questions from you guys. And one question that seems interesting, okay, I could rock with this one. It says, is it really advisable for a younger guy to move to Southeast Asia permanently? to me, it looks like it's not a good career move. There is little to zero opportunity for growth in that region for the most part. Now, before you answer the question, my man, basically, when we were talking about looking for jobs abroad, this was in line in connection with companies that are already existing likely in the United States. So
Mhm.
this is you getting on with a company and then getting stationed or moved or transitioned into a job abroad. So if you are part of a BPO, you're going to probably be hopefully when you get there managing your own team.
Mhm.
Hopefully you're going to be in a position where you're working with a US based or a international based company and working your way through everything that's happening in a different culture. But we'll field the question just for shits and giggles. Is it advisable for young men to make the move to living in countries abroad, in your personal opinion, even whether it be through company based or whatever it may be? I mean, I'll just let you go ahead and have at it.
Yeah, so Big Brother, I'm gonna answer his question directly. Is it really advisable for a younger guy to move to Southeast Asia permanently? To me, it looks like not a good career move. There's a little to zero opportunity for growth in that region. I don't agree with that, Big Brother. You got countries like Singapore, that's part of Southeast Asia. That's really the Southeast Asia capital of the world. You have countries like Hong Kong, which is what you would say is the financial capital of the world in certain aspects of it, outside of like the New Yorks and stuff like that, right? So these are areas that are consistently seeing growth. You have countries like Vietnam. You have the countries like the Philippines, where labor is cheap and stuff like that. And what you're starting to see a lot of technology being developed over there. Yes, you have Uber over here, but you also have Grab
It's
car over
Grab.
there,
It's
right?
Grab.
And
Yeah,
right, and it's
exactly.
and think about what is their IPOs getting ready to be something very, very large. You got the Alibabas, you got all these large companies, Lazadas, right? All these large companies that are coming out with new technology, and it's going to
Mm-hmm.
provide an ample amount of opportunity for people in Southeast Asia. So do I, give advice to people going to Southeast Asia? It really depends on what you're going there for. If you're going there for work, absolutely. There's a lot of companies that have national locations in Southeast Asia
Mm-hmm.
or international locations in Southeast Asia, and it's a good place to live, guys. It's a good experience if you are an African American guy. I can tell you this with hands down experience that your world will be changed forever. And what I mean by that is that it's going to eliminate the mindset that you have right now about the United States and the United States being the country that it is, because you're not going to have any sort of excuses when you go to Southeast Asia. You're not going to be able to be a part of that. You're going to be a part of other folks. And it's going to just eliminate that as a distraction, if it is a distraction for you in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I say this: it's an opportunity for you to experience a lot if you were to go to Southeast Asia, almost any country, and be able
Mm-hmm.
to take that back with you, or to, if you ever move back to the United States, or if you decide to stay there forever. You have so many places that you can go.
That's true. What's funny though? When you said eliminate any excuses, that's funny as hell because it's true. I
It's
mean,
true.
stateside, you could kind of throw a whole bunch of different reasons out there why there's somebody keeping you from being successful or there's
Yeah,
something keeping you locked in. But when you're abroad and you're not really, you can't really say that everything that happened to you back here is the reason why you can't succeed here. And
absolutely.
and that's definitely something that I think is noteworthy to talk about for sure. And my man says I think Asia is going to explode for growth in probably the year to come, and I see that coming too. With the developing infrastructures in just about any place in Southeast Asia right now, you can pretty much see that they're poised to do some really good things in the future. It's gonna boom. I mean, it's crazy how the development is happening. And I'll just use the Philippines as an example. I used to joke around and I'd be like, Manila's popping. And they're always building, they're always trying to grow, always looking for new industries to get into. Certain groups of people have kind of monopolized a little bit in the country, and that's okay. More so China and India, they got a nice little stronghold on a lot of the
Mhm.
infrastructure and development that's happening in the Philippines. And what you'll start to see is that, okay, next Cebu's coming along, which is another area in the Philippines. and then dive out, when you're starting to see these particular areas grow from what it used to be. And it's like
Mhm.
you see it coming, but you're just waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
You don't know when it's gonna happen, but when it happens, it's gonna be big, and you kind of see it coming. So you can see the development happening, and I think that that's definitely something to look forward to. I'm not necessarily happy if it fucks up our pricing, because I kind of like going cheap as best as I can. But I mean,
He's got to move to another
yeah,
location, man.
go to yep. That's pretty much it. I said, fuck it. I said, y'all done ruined it. You're right. I was like, y'all done ruined it for me now, man. Now we up to some U.S. prices. I said, man, y'all ridiculous, bro. I said, we gonna go to countryside on this one, man.
Well, check it out. Check it out, Dr. Mike, right? I mean, like when living abroad in Southeast Asia, one thing I noticed, it was because it was after the global economy crash and all this sort of stuff, right? So just look at how much building you're having. Look at how many skyscrapers are coming up. And it's no different than what we're experiencing here in the United States. I think it's even at a faster pace there because China has a huge foothold in that part of the region, right? So it's absolutely, it's already happening. It's already happening to this day. If you go and start to see who are some of the people that own some of these construction companies that are building some of these large skyscrapers, are either responsible for high-speed rail or responsible for some of the fast internet connections. They're from that part of the region, and a lot of them is China. And at the end of the day, you can be working for a Chinese company. Lenovo is a Chinese company that does fantastic things, right? Alibaba is a fantastic, it's a huge opportunity over that side of the world. And I think they are already competing with what we do here in the United States, and maybe even sometimes competing better.
All right. So great question here for you, man. What's the process your company uses to help someone with soft skills? I fall into the category of great tech skills, but horrible soft skills. That's
Well,
what he said. So
horrible soft skills, right? Well, so the process that
he
we
needs
actually
help.
use.
That's basically what it is. Help me with my soft skills. All right. So what we got?
The process that we use, we start off as we do a consultation to understand exactly what horrible is to you, right? Guarantee it's not horrible. If you are in the tech industry,
Right.
you do have some decent soft skills. You may have bad bedside manner, as I would say, right? You may do some things that isn't the right way, but at the end of the day, if you're in the tech world, you have some good soft skills. I'm sure you can communicate a written and stuff like that. We just do a consultation and understand exactly where you are, where you struggle at, where you think you struggle at, and then we'll put a plan together to determine how you can actually get better at that. That could be from doing some readings. That could be me putting you in a situation where you have to go out and complete an assignment out in front of people, meaning that you have to meet people, right? Because at the end of the day, soft skills is really around the communication, listening, active listening, really getting out of your comfort zone and having the ability to connect with people. And that's really what soft skills are. So, those are some of the ways that we actually allow or help our candidates and some of our folks that come through our program to develop and grow and improve on their soft skills. It could be things like, hey, you have to come on Antoine Wade's channel and do a podcast with me, right? So those are the things that get you more comfortable to speaking and listening and things like that. So.
And I mean, trust me, YouTube ain't for everybody, man. I
No,
mean,
it's not.
when everybody and I like to use that as an example because when you start on YouTube, you have no idea. You don't have a presence. Your camera presence is probably horrible. Your delivery is probably shattish. I mean, it's bad. I mean, whenever you start, so this does come with practice. This does come with spending a lot of time doing live streams and stuff like that. So I think that over time, doing this for as long as I have, I mean, I've been able to at least get comfortable speaking, talking. And I mean,
Yes.
granted, that's not the only skill you need, because I mean you need to know how to partner certain products and things with certain companies, find out what people need and figure out how to deliver. Those are probably also inclusive in reference to that. But like you said, the communication aspect. I mean, being
Yeah.
able to talk, being able to to get people to, well, especially in sales, you got to get people to listen. So,
Yes.
so that's definitely something to look into. But yeah, go
Well,
ahead, man.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
you have to be able to listen. I say this all the time. I think one of the most critical skills that is important is really being able to actively listen. And a lot of people that I speak with do a good job at listening, but not actively listening. They listen to respond back versus really trying to understand what the other person is trying to communicate through body language and also through their voice and tonality and things like that. So those, like you said, Dr. Mike, I mean, it's just with anything in life, the more you do it, the more practice you have, the better you're going to get at it. And that's what we do to help folks develop their soft skills and things like that. And I see a question in here too by Green Newbie. He says the West is generally already developed. Asia is not. I think people would challenge that too, Green Newbie. I think if you go to certain parts of Texas where I live right here, you can go an hour or 2 hours away, and it actually looks worse than some of the baddest countries that I've gone to, or some of the worst spots in countries that I've gone to that are supposed to be, second world or first world country. So the United States, just because you may not see it, parts of the United States is messed up. A lot of parts of the United States doesn't even have access to high speed internet. So and don't even have a lot of clean drinking water. And that's here in Texas. And that's all over the place. You can go to Indiana and parts of Wisconsin and things like that. You say, holy crap, do people really live like this? And yeah, it's true. But you're right. And generally the West is developed. They want you to think that we are the best marketers, especially the United States, and just about everything. We say that we're the best at everything. Look at the statistics. See what we're the best at. Only thing we're the best at is military spending and creating wars.
Yeah.
Our education isn't the best. None of that is. So generally speaking, Asia is not. I challenge that, my brother. General terms, in general terms, it's people look at the West as being more developed, but yes, you have a lot of parts in the West outside of these major cities that are worse off than some of the other countries that you would think that United States should be ahead of.
And you know what's scary? First place that comes to mind, I don't know if you've ever been there, but this place is crazy. Stockton, California.
Never been to Stockton, but I heard about it.
Don't. Or Lodi. That's it. Stockton and Lodi, California. Those places are crazy. You would think that we were in a third world country in this particular area. It blows my mind. And yes, granted, I mean, but when we talk about development though, when I think of underdevelopment, I'm just thinking more rural, more like they just haven't been tapped in yet. They got the resources, everything is there. They just haven't been tapped yet. And that's a lot of what I see in the Philippines and places like that. You look at Lodi and Stockton, it's just like a war zone hidden. And it's like, what do we have to tap in here? But in the Philippines, it's like, okay, like you said, is the potential, you'll see it in certain areas. It just hasn't kept up with the times yet, or it just hasn't gotten its chance to really shine. And you'll start to see, from what I noticed, you'll start to see a lot of companies shifting into these more low-key rural areas and building them up quickly, and I mean at a rapid rate. And that's pretty much, they're developing all over the place. And development, you guys know, that stuff spreads, man. So I mean, when you can't go up, where are you going to go? You're going to go out. So you're pretty much going to find a way to shift yourself. In my opinion, from what I've noticed, you're going to find your way from the Philippines that you've probably seen 10 years ago to what it is now, hands down, different. That's the best way for me to say it. So you can only imagine what you're going to see in the next 10. In the next 10, nothing's going to stay the same. I mean, that's just one of those truths that we have to accept, myself included. You wish you wish things would stay the same. Trust me, man. Because you remember how you have those moments where you were thinking back in the day, like, man, I remember when it used to be like this. I remember when it used to be like that. Now you're looking at it, you're like, man, what did y'all do to my country? You know what I'm saying? I have those moments quite often, but once, well, and my man, I'm gonna use my man Marley term hidden gems. Once these hidden gems are exposed, it
Yeah.
becomes like, well, guess you know what's coming after that for sure.
Yeah. Well,
And
and you can start to see, I mean, like, you can start to see a lot of the trends start to happen when you start to see a lot of YouTube videos of backpackers going to certain places, man. So when you start to see that, the Myanmars and things like that, you're saying, okay, well, why are people starting to go over there? Well, why are they starting to build a tourism industry? And then you say, okay, well, they're starting to get a lot of investments from foreign nationals and things like that, right? And before you know, like you said, they become cities overnight. That's how China has made so many Guangzhou and places out of Shanghai. Man, just overnight, you see these cities come up, and before you know it, they don't even have people there yet. The city is up with a whole bunch of skyscrapers, and they're like, okay, well, everybody in this part of the country, you're going to move here, and there you go.
I mean, hey, if they build it, they will come, right?
If they build it, they will come. They will certainly come for sure.
That's really the best thing that you can say. Wow, that's a great question. So back to the hidden gems. My man asked, what are some hidden gem spots in Asia? Wow. See, for me, I can speak more so, like I said, Philippine based, but since you've got nice little travel experience under your belt, what would you say? Since we're focusing specifically on the Asia realm, what would you
Man,
say is one spot that really kind of blew your mind, and you're like, why don't people know about this spot, or how come people don't really know about it like
I would say Galle, Sri Lanka. So Galle, Sri Lanka is a nice little. Well, Sri Lanka itself is a peninsula, or you may want to call it an island, whatever you want to call it. And
that?
it's just a country that has been under a lot of political issues as well too. But I got a chance to fly from India to Colombo, Sri Lanka, and I went through a tour for a good 6 days with a tour guide and kind of seeing what Sri Lanka was about, driving from Colombo all the way down to Galle, which is probably a good, I don't know, day and a half trip. And just seeing the beaches, the water, the purity of the Indian Ocean. It was something that was just fascinating for me. I love the food. Nobody ever talks about Sri Lanka at just about anything at all, right?
Yeah,
The only
right.
thing that you heard about Sri Lanka is the bombing that happened in Colombo, and I think that happened a year or two ago, and that was the same hotel I actually stayed in too, which is insane, right?
Crazy.
But
Yeah.
outside of that, I would say there's many. I would suggest doing the Perhentian Islands in Malaysia, though that's beautiful. I would say Nha Trang in Vietnam. I would say Boracay in Philippines. There's so many places that you can go to, that are really, I guess, hidden gems. And I would say my number one would probably be Galle. Check it out.
Man, Sri Lanka. Like I
Sri
said,
Lanka.
the
Never,
first thing
never,
you think of,
never.
nah,
That's
nobody. So Sri Lanka is not even on anybody's top 10, let alone their list at all, for sure.
exactly.
And you, right, and you know what it does? It takes going to these specific places. Maybe it's not even a place you even thought about. Like, it's almost like throwing a dart at a map and saying, "Okay, fucking, let's go here." It's kind of like, because you'll never know anything about it until you actually physically get
Exactly.
there. And
Yep.
And like I said, that's definitely Sri Lanka. Like, what is the first thing somebody say? What the women look like? That's everybody's first question. I can promise you, everybody's first question. Yo, what some girls look like over there? Like, before I go over there, let me check and see what these women look like. They're gonna do Google searches and shit. You're gonna be like, yo, let me check some YouTube videos. What do the women look like in Sri Lanka? He told them all about the hidden gems. You're gonna be like, first let me see what these ladies look like. Then I'm gonna determine if I'm gonna take this trip or not. Hey man, it's a guilty thing. I know, man, but it is what it is. But yeah, man, I do believe there are some great places that have been untapped. And my man says Penang,
Oh,
Malaysia. Any
Penang
thoughts?
is absolutely fantastic. Georgetown is ridiculously fun. A good food paradise. Good people. I mean, Malaysia in general. I swear I like I said, Dr. Mike. It is a place in my heart. It has a place in my heart. My wife to this day, she's just like, you've gone back over there 4 times since we got back in 2000, and we got back in August in 2018.
Right.
And I've made already like 4 company trips. I've never brought her back since we've gotten back, and she just can't wait to go back. And it's just, it's a beautiful country. It's a beautiful country. I would not mind living there for the rest of my life if that was an option at this point in time today. But, it will be an option one day, or it's going to be, Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam, or some other place you want to settle down. We'll have a place somewhere international.
For sure, man. Everybody gonna be asking what them girls look like, man. Come on now. Hey, come on, bro. What the Sri Lankan women look like? I can see it right now.
So Dr. Mike, I can say this. I think there's beautiful people in Sri Lanka. There's beautiful people in Sri Lanka, man. There's beautiful people. Just about everywhere you go to. So you don't have to worry about that. Any countries where you got some, in Sri Lanka, they got the skin of us, right? So it depends on what you like. But
yes,
it is a beautiful country, and they do have some beautiful people there, man.
I could not get away with not throwing that in, because I swear every single time, like clockwork, you could talk, dude. We were talking about hot spots, hidden gems. What did we say? You was like, man, go to Sri Lanka, beautiful, man. The water, untapped, there's everything. You talking about all the good shit. What them girls look like, though, bro? Come on. I love it, man. I swear. I do. I mean, that's just what people think, man. And I love it, man, because it's easy when you can read people's minds. So there's also a mention of a place named Sentosa. Is that also in the area of Malaysia? Is Sentosa in the area or no? I just see the name. I don't know exactly. No.
I'm not familiar with Sentosa. I don't know what that is. Yeah.
Somebody let me know exactly what that means. What particular area Sentosa is in, so we can get an idea. I would like to go to Malaysia, but it doesn't seem visa friendly. What do you like? I mean,
it's 30 days. It's 30 days, Dr. Mike. I'm like, typically when you go there, you can, get a 30-day visa to actually, and it's not difficult, but you won't be able to stay past 30 days unless you're going to, get leave and then come back. But that's about it. So otherwise, if you're on a second one, you can get a 40 or 24-month visa or 36-month visa, things like that. So I got mine was a 24-month visa when I was over there, and then I got to extend it. It was a 36-month visa. Ended up staying there for a good 3 years, man. It was fantastic. Sure. Beautiful place.
And I do want to go back to, now this is an interesting question. I'm gonna try to see if I could pose it right, because I want to make sure that I get the information that I'm looking to get out of this question. But I don't want to call it foreigner friendly places, but have you ever been to places where you kind of felt like, well, maybe they're just not as welcoming as I thought that they could be? Not necessarily just because you're Black, but just being an American or anything like that. Have you ever felt any place that you've been to where you're like, well, maybe the response or the culture, maybe it just wasn't open to foreigners or anything like that? I ever felt that way? I'm not saying that they said anything or anything derogatory, but it's just like you felt like maybe a little unease. I'm not saying, like you felt like they were going to do anything bad to you, but have you ever felt places where maybe it might have been just a little bit uncomfortable for yourself?
No, not I mean, like what I would say is this is I haven't been to anywhere where I've been ill-informed and had a bad experience. I would say this, right? There was a question that was in the chat is, how do you handle language barriers, right? Well, the good thing is when I was in Malaysia, when I was in Malaysia, of course, the common language is Bahasa, but everybody speaks English. That's a second language of the country. So it actually used to be a British colony. So of course, the majority of people actually speaks English, which is a huge benefit, and that was a huge benefit for my wife as well too. But what I think my point of jumping to that question was, when you go to countries and you travel quite a bit, and you aren't comfortable with the language, that's when you can have some bits of trouble. And I found going to Paris somewhat challenging because of that. I found
Mm-hmm.
going to Lyon, which is in France as well, somewhat challenging because it's not because it was a difficult place or attitude or things like that towards the people. It's just more of I have never spoke French before, and the
Mm-hmm.
French, are very prideful people. And if you want help of the French people, you speak to them and you try to speak to them in their local language, right?
Correct.
So
Right.
that's a challenge that I've had, trying to speak French, but I was able to get out of there just fine, have a good time. It's a beautiful city, beautiful country. I love the French, man. I love
All
French
right.
food. I love French wine, man.
That's awesome, man. All right, guys. Like I said, man, I'm glad that you were able to take time out of your day to come through and politic with us for a little bit over here on Dr. Mike TV channel, man. For any of
Yes,
you guys
sir.
interested in checking out my brother Antoine Wade's channel, channel is linked in the description area below. Make sure you go over there, check him out. Content's solid, solid in my opinion. Quick question before we check out. Great newbie, how about translator jobs? Do you think there is a big market for individuals who speak several languages?
Yes, absolutely. There is a huge job market for people who speak multiple language. Anytime you want to go overseas, a lot of people, the choice that they actually go overseas for is to English as a second language, right? So, and if you're able to
Yes,
speak
sir.
multiple language when you
Right.
go over there, right,
Mm-hmm.
you can even climb the ladder a lot faster because you can speak or you can teach other subjects outside of English. So, fantastic skill to have if you can speak multiple languages, and it'll just help you,
Facts.
especially if you're in a area that the language, especially if it's not English. Oh, people
Mm-hmm.
are gonna love you even better, man. You speak somebody's local language. That's how you can sell.
Oh,
That's how
you're
you
in
can
there
get
like,
people right there. When
don't
you're
do
in
it.
there, exactly. It's that's
Easy.
just yeah. It makes
Mm-hmm.
things so much easier. So I think that's a
For
great question,
sure,
Green
man.
Newbie. But ESL is a huge one, and translator jobs is important.
For sure. Now, English as a second language is awesome. Like I got my TEFL. No, yeah,
Okay,
is it my TESOL? TEFL. Yeah.
it's Cecil.
I think I'm for yeah. The TEFL is teaching learners of English a foreign language, and then TESOL is English of secondary
Second
languages.
language.
See,
Yeah.
English as a second language. Right, right. I can't remember when I got my certification. And I want to say I got the foreign language one, so I can't remember. But yes, those degrees or those certifications, not even a degree, they're very good, and it's definitely good to getting your foot into the door. Now, again, those particular jobs, depending on the pay, it's a little bit different everywhere that you go. It's not
Yeah.
going to always be a high paying position. But if you are within a company that is looking to expand, having that secondary language is key, because when you're transitioning into other countries, definitely it'll get a lot of foots and a lot of doors. That's definitely something that I've been able to see, benefit me, even though my understanding of some of the local languages in the Philippines is minimal at best. People respond in kind with what little you do know. So imagine if you actually were able to master it. It makes everything so much easier for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All
Absolutely. Hands
right.
down, man.
Yeah, man. Like I said, guys, much appreciated to my brother Antoine Wade, man. Good look, man. It's good to see you, man. And it's good to have you on the channel, guys. On your way in or on your way out, please make sure you drop a like on this video. I'm going to leave you with final thoughts, man. Any final thoughts you want to say? Anything that you want to add before we shut it down? The floor is yours, my man.
Man, thank you, Dr. Mike, for having me on, man. I love coming on and chopping it up and talking about international trips and talking about different countries because that's the part of the exposure that I kind of talk about within the channel itself. And just, I
Mhm.
want people to explore because when you're able to explore, you're going to be able to grow leaps and bounds over people who just stay still, right? So exposure is key. Continue to do big things on your channel, Dr. Mike, man. If you ever need me back, just shoot me an email. Guys, thank you so much for engaging with me on this video and in the chat, man. I appreciate you guys, man. Did I lose you? I think I lost you, Dr. Mike.
You good, man. I got you. I heard you. Nah, man, it just refreshed on me. I'm good. I heard everything, brother. You good.
All right,
Nothing was.
brother. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for having me today. Take care, guys.
They went through a whole situation.